Well, it's August 28th, afternoon here, 2025. Another nice afternoon here on the shooting range. There's a load of wood here that it'll have to wait. I've got a nice little project that I'm looking at doing here in the shooting shed today. At least I think it's kind of a nice project. Kind of came about because somebody mentioned, comment on a video that I'd made a couple years back during the off shooting season, and they were wondering how these Conicals, that video talks about how they fit in 36 calibers. These are all 36 caliber ones here. How they did a video on how they fit in the different 36 caliber guns. The only one I did not include was a Remington, which I probably should have, but don't think I had one at that time anyway. The comment was about how they actually shot. Like I said, that was in the off season, which around here lasts about 8-9 months of the year, and I never got around to actually to shooting these things. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And the three Conicals that I was discussing in that video, which I'll hopefully remember to put a link in the description here. First one I've got here, these are a Lee. I believe they're I don't know what the weight of them is. Like I say, that video explains all the measurements and the weights and that good stuff. Basically, that's a Lee Conical. All three of these were actually manufactured by Lee, but these two over here are sold by Years Gone By. The bullet mold is sold by him, and this is what they call a Colt factory. I believe the Colt factory bullet. And the other one over here is called a Richmond, I believe Richmond Laboratories. So those are the three that we're going to work on shooting today. Now, I won't be lubricating the bullets. I actually use the lube on top of the bullet. After the bullet is seated, I'll put some lube on top of the bullet there. And as far as how that works goes, I'm pretty sure that the bullet doesn't really care whether that lube is ahead or behind that driving band. Purpose of the lube mostly it'd be to keep the fouling soft, so the next bullet can push that out. So that's kind of how we'll be loading those. As far as the guns we'll be shooting them in, got some options here. I think the first one I'll start with will be the Ubarity. I believe this one is a replica of a 1851, and this is 825-21 when I first shot this one. Here's a group of 6 shots. I think there's one down where my thumb is, otherwise the other 5 are up in here. So this puppy shoots really well right out of the box. It has a 1 in 16 twist, faster twist, and knowing something about conical shaped bullets, they're usually needing a slightly faster twist. So we're going to use the 1 in 16 twist gun here, the Ubarity, at least first. We may end up trying to see how this bullet shoot in my Pieta here, which is a slower twist. This one is about a 1 in 30 twist gun. So if we get a chance to, we'll also shoot those bullets out of the slower twist barrel. Anyway, let's get this gun out of the box, and I guess it's time to load it up. So it looks like when I was shooting this in 2021, I was using 15 grains of 3F Go-X, and I think with the Conicals they'll still fit in there and clear the frame when they're rotated around. I probably won't load these in the gun. I say that video that I have online explains whether or not they'll be able to be loaded through the small gap that's here. There's a loading. Let's get that out here. Yeah, there's a small indentation here in the frame that those bullets, Conicals, will go in, and maybe 1 or 2 of those don't fit so well in there. Maybe there has to be some modification made here, but like I say, I think I went into that in my other video, so we're going to skip that. I'll be taking the cylinder out of the gun, loading it in my press that's over here, and doing it that way. So that's kind of the way I'll load the thing. And as far as the powder charge goes, I'll be using pretty much the same as I've got up here. And instead of the 3F Go-X, what we have here is 3F Schultzen. So we'll load up first with 6 of the round ball, 36 caliber. That's to get our chambers equally fouled, so when we shoot our 3 Conicals, they'll all be having about the same starting point. First one will be our Lee Conical, and we'll follow that up with our Colt factory, and then the Richmond lab. And I think we'll shoot probably 12 of each of these. That should give us a fair average of how these things are doing. We shot our first string of the round ball. Now we're going to go to our Lee Conicals. Comment on the round ball, the 375, those are Hornadays. Could probably actually use a 380. There wasn't much cut off of those at all, and they fit down there pretty easy. In fact, these Lee Conicals, actually, I could shove one of them right down with my fingers here. They're almost press fit, so I would say they're a little on the small side, or the chambers here are a little big for that Lee. And this is kind of what it looks like when I got my lube on there. The 15 grain load, after the conical is down there, probably leaves us with about 1/8 of an inch on the top for a lube or whatever you want to do there. So you could probably put a little more, go up to 18 grains if a person wanted to, and still fit those conicals. Alright, we're set to shoot our Lee Conicals, the first string of 6 of those. Gun has a fairly decent trigger pull. The sights really have something to be improved on, but and this will be our second string of 6 with Lee Conicals. Okay, there's 6. Well, here's our first target, 12 shots. I'm really impressed with that. I would say absolutely no flyers, 12 shots. I take this one up here out for 11 shots. I got about a 2 to 2 1/4 inch group. And if you've shot much of these guns, you'll understand the sighting problems that we have. The trigger pull is pretty decent on this one, but the sighting problems, the bead front sight over here and the little notch on the rear totally fills things up, and you can't hardly see light up or down, and it's hard to tell top to top alignment with the sight. So I can't expect any better than that with the sighting on this gun. So okay, really happy with the way the Lee Conicals are shooting. Well, we're loaded up now with 6 of the Colt factories, and a couple of comments on those is, first of all, there's about 1/8 of an inch again into the chambers with that 15 grain charge to put some lube or whatever there. And they did shove down a little more, had a little more friction there than with the Lees. These actually cut a very slight ring with these Colt factories, and that's in that Uberti gun. So kind of happy with that. So okay, let's shoot these 6 down there and see how they go. Okay, second string of 6 with the Colt factories. First string, I think I had 2 above the paper. They're just off the paper, and the other 4 were top of the paper, so we did add a lower sighting dot down there, or square, or whatever. That way we should keep most of them on the paper where we can see them. Otherwise, the group was decent. I have no complaints. I don't believe there are any flyers in that, but like I say, it's a little higher than the ones with the Lees. But we got that lower sighting position now, so we should keep these on the paper where we can see them. Okay, we do have a cap. wedged against the side of the frame, right where it keeps the hammer from going in there. We fired 30 rounds through this barrel, and I've been doing some checking of barrel fouling. Here I got a couple of videos on that, so we want to take a look down here and we get the camera set up so we can kind of see what that looks like. I looked at it and I'm seeing the rifling's really good, and it's not that dark in there. It's telling me that lube is keeping the fouling soft enough so those bullets are pushing it out. You can actually see some shininess down there. And I can almost guarantee with 100% if you're not using the lube there, or maybe if you put the lube in those grease spots on the bullet, it'll help, but I don't think it'll do the job that putting it on the end is doing. So, all right, let's load up 6 with the with our last one, Conical, which was the Richmond Labs bullet, and let's see what that one does. Oh, look at that! I've been shoving pretty hard on that Richmond Lab bullet, and all I'm getting is a big ring. That nose is definitely large. You don't have the leverage here quite with this setup I've got that you would with a loading lever probably, but I'm definitely going to shave some lead there, and it's not going to be that easy to slide down. And like we used to say in baseball, 2 hands for beginners, and I had 2 hands on the handle here. And we did get her down, and there was the ring that it shaved off, so should be no problems with chain fires anyway if you can get them down there. A little comparison in the ring size. Normal ones I'm shaving off look like that, or like the bunch of them that are over here, and then we got this one. Almost makes you want to salvage it and put it back in a lead pot. Okay, we did get those seated, and there's our rings that came off. I think I'm just going to shoot 6 of these fellas down there, because if I ever get my pusher here misaligned, I'm going to end up with a groove in the, or a notch or something in the mouth of the chambers here, which I'm not going to be too happy about. Even though that is brass, I mean, it'll still can still dent something. You can hit something pretty hard with a brass hammer and they'll put a dent in it. Anyway, let's get this lube on the chambers here and get those things shot. So this is our target that we shot with the round ball to get things kind of fouled and in the cylinders, in the chambers there especially. And you notice it's lower than our other groups here by quite a bit. And this would have been probably up higher had it been the second. After the chambers get fouled, they'll shoot higher. Anyway, here's our group that we shot 12 shots with the Lee Conical. And that's the bullet right there. All right, switch to the Colt, and that's this one here. And you know, if we got 2 groups here, or the upper group, I had a couple shots that were up in here. They're off the paper, but decent size. I suppose 2.5 inches probably for the 6 shots. Then I made a lower aiming point down here, and again we've got 6 shots. Again, if you don't count this one, probably around a 2-inch for 5 shots, so really decent, and no flyers that I'm aware of here on either groups of the Conicals, and that's not the case when I was shooting these years ago, especially in the lower, slower twist, 130 twist guns. Okay, we switched to our Conical here. That's the Richmond Lab Conical, and get our kind of a closer up of that bullet. And those guys are really hard to shove down in there with that larger nose. I'm pretty sure in that video that I did there's some measurements on that, but I mean it left a pretty huge ring, so I decided just to shoot 6 with that. I believe these two here are sighting errors, they're not flyers, and had I either raised my point of aim a little bit or held up a little more front sight, I think they'd be within that. So not bad as far as grouping size goes, but I'm not going to go with these things. Maybe somebody else will, but I'd be looking at either the Colt factory or the Conical, and it's mainly in my case just because of the difficulty I had putting that down the chamber size here. And the Ubertis are a little larger than the Piettas even, so I think if I had a Pietta it'd be probably tougher yet. But if you have an oversized chambers, maybe in some 36 caliber, that might just be the ticket here. Okay, those that might want to stick around for a little more on the video, I'm going to pull the barrel on the gun, take the barrel off here, run some dry patches through there, and see if I can just shove that fouling that's in the barrel out with just the dry patches. And if you've done cleaning of these guns and you're shooting wads or maybe nothing at all with them, you just try that and see how well you do with the dry patches compared to what's going to happen with this one. Alright, barrel's off, and I've cut some patches here dry. I'm hoping that they're not too large to work for this, so let's fold them in half here and stick one, see if I can shove her through. Okay, that's not, well, maybe it will. It's going to go through. I'm always checking to see whether it feels raspy or sandpaperish as I'm shoving those things through. This one is not. It's sliding pretty decent. Alright, there's patch number 1. So that looks. Now the point here is not that I'm afraid to buy cleaning solution, but I want to see if that fouling is kept soft enough for the consecutive shots to keep shoving it out. And it looked like it did, because I checked the barrel after, what was it, I don't know, 12 or 16 shots or something, and it was looking pretty decent. Alright, so there's number 2. And that was a little harder to shove through, and I'm guessing because it didn't have the lube in there. I'm going to probably just try this one without folding it. Yeah, look at that. Third patch. Well, there's a look down that barrel. Of course, hard for me to see in the viewfinder here, but I'm not seeing anything black in there. Well, here's how the patch situation worked out with dry patches. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and we looked down the barrel and it was shiny, looking pretty clean. We did take a wet one with some solvent in here, some Windex with vinegar, I think, not ammonia. Did bring out a little more darkness here, and then the patch after that, just basically closer you can get. I think you'll have a hard time doing that with smokeless, with 4 or 5 patches and giving a barrel that looks like that. Take a look through that. Okay, so now it's time to get this gun tore down and clean up all the ugly little parts inside it, cylinder chambers, and the whole works. Well, 45 minutes later, here's our gun all cleaned up, looking pretty nice. We didn't get the chance to shoot our Pietta today. That is the slower 130 twist. This is the faster 116 twist. That Uberti shot real well with these Conicals. It's just a great gun overall. Target over here, the Lee Conicals. I don't have the target up here with the Richmond lab bullets, but this is our group here for the Lee Conicals. About a 2.5 inch group here, if you just count that one up there. Shooting high, of course, and a little bit to the right, where the sights are set up. Went to the Colt factory, and we were shooting even a little higher yet. I had a couple up in this area here, so I switched to a lower point of aim, and then shot this 6-shot group, which is, I think, really well. I got about a 2-inch spread here. We counted that one out, but otherwise 2.5, 2 3/4 inches is really decent. So I think the gun is shooting the Conicals well. Over here is the target of the Richmond, and those weren't bad either, but my problem here was they were just so darn hard to to put down the chambers here. So I wouldn't, for this gun, I wouldn't recommend that particular bullet. I'd probably go here with the Colt factories. They did shave a little bit of lead, and they were a nice fit for this particular gun with those size chambers. The leads pushed down a little too easily, I felt. Otherwise, I had a good time shooting this gun, and hopefully someone will find the information here useful.